Public notice, regular session, mayor and city council meeting, 6 p.m. Wednesday, December 4th. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Tilly, do us the honor.
Yeah, you bet. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity to be gathered together as a community. Grateful for the business before the council tonight. We ask thee that thou would bless the council to move this work forward in a manner pleasing to thee, and that the interests of all will be served. Grateful for this good community and the people who live here. Call it home. We ask you to bless those who are in need and are suffering, particularly during this time of year. And we pray for this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Call to the public. I have one speaker, Marshall Gruber.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. As you know, you have
Good evening.
2 minutes.
2 minutes,
Yes, sir.
I haven't been here for 5 months. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll give you 1 more minute. You have 3, sir.
Okay. I'd like to talk about first on the Sierra pipeline. You guys wrote had a nice resolution. I appreciated that, and I thought it would be very positive. However, the draft environmental impact statement is out. I have a copy, and unfortunately did not do what you suggested. It takes the pipeline, goes to Nogales, and then goes right along the border to Sassafras, and then goes in. And it says it's very expensive and difficult to go along the border and put a gas line in from Nogales to Sassafras. I actually agree. I think the Border Patrol would love to have somebody put that road in for them. But it's bad. That's the way it's written. It's not good. Because they are so tied up on Sassafras as the port of entry. And that's because 2 companies signed a contract, one on the American side, one on the Mexican side, to sell and buy gasoline, natural gas. The companies are owned by the same company. So it's a company selling to itself. So it's a fraud. It's really not good. So I'm going to fight that when the comments are due. And they're due on the 16th of December. I've given Letitia the 4-page instructions if you do want to send comments, and how to send them to the Federal Energy Commission. But they missed the point. It's economic development is the purpose for Nogales, Ambos Nogales, to get this gas line. Because we cannot grow industry in this city, this county, or in Nogales, Sonora, if you don't have natural gas, and then end up with clean air. Because right now, we're in an EPA non-attainment area. We have bad air. It's not good. And it won't clean up unless we get natural gas. I really think that's the solution. And it's not going to Nogales, Sonora. And those industries are not going to have the ability to use natural gas. The International Wastewater Treatment Plant wanted to, for its backup, use natural gas for its generation. But they couldn't because there's not enough natural gas here so that the wastewater treatment plant could use natural gas for backup electricity. The wastewater treatment plant has to have electricity because if they can't pump, it's going to back up in everybody's sewers, and it's really going to be a bad thing. So I'm all for the wastewater treatment plant having a good backup system. But it's diesel now, and it's diesel in Nogales, Sonora. So we don't have the capacity to light off the generators here. So I really think that there's the economic development benefits in here. 300 hotel rooms they're going to rent in Tucson for all of their out-of-town workers. That's not really why you put in a $1 billion pipeline for 300 hotel rooms. That is the benefit for the United States of America. Because the 11 people in Sassafras do not need this gas line. The people in Ambos, Nogales need this gas line. and I'm fighting hard for it. And we were not evaluated properly, and I feel badly about it, because I know you wrote the resolution and you approved it, and I think and this county did the same thing. Pima County just wrote a 49-page letter opposing this. So, I mean, it's, and a lot of other people oppose it too. I don't oppose the gas line at all. What I oppose is them crossing the border at the wrong spot. That's that subject, and it's the same distance from Sassabee to Guaymas and Puerto Libertad as it is from Nogales. There's no difference in distance, so it's just not a good answer, and I'm very upset at that. Some other real quick things. They're finishing up on the 138 kV transmission line. But if you notice the H-frames, which are still there from the old line, and the new monopoles, or what they're called, they're 120 feet tall. The H-frames are 60 to 70, maybe 80 feet tall. I participated very directly in those hearings. I was told 70, 80 feet, except maybe once if they had to cross the railroad track, they'd go to 120. They're all 120. And I think they misled us, saying that they were going to be equal size to the H-frame. And they're very ugly because I wanted them in galvanized steel, which means that they would fade into the background and not be so visible. But they say they like black rusted poles because they look like trees. Well, we don't have any 120-foot trees around, okay? And so, but that's another story. Next subject is, in a recent paper, they're talking about having Sarita and Green Valley join Santa Cruz County. I think that's probably one of the more, that's as dumb as the Kinder Morgan pipeline on the border. And I don't think that's a good idea. Last subject I want to talk about is Val Verde Water Company.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask him to repeat that last one again?
The Sahuarita?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could
Would you
the
repeat that
one?
last item, please?
Okay, in the newspaper, a former councilman from the city of Tucson has recommended that Sahuarita and Green Valley and Rosemont Mine join Santa Cruz County.
Thank you.
Change the border. And I don't think the change in the property tax in Sarita and all those people, they're not going to vote for it. So it's a dead end. I don't think you guys are for it either, but I can't ask you for your opinion because it's not on the agenda. But
Have you
that's
talked to the county people on that?
they talked about it this morning, and they weren't very much in favor of it either.
Okay.
So I don't think, you're the only, well, Patagonia might be for it, but they're the only other political organization out there. So I think we're sort of going to be unanimous on it. But I can't ask your opinion because it's not on the agenda.
Yes, I know.
But I have a feeling what it would be. But I just want to say, I don't like that. I don't think it's a good idea. New subject though, Val Verde Water Company. It's a small water company. There are 440 small water companies in the state of Arizona. A lot of them are mom and pop organizations like this one, and it's in bad shape. And I know it's in bad shape. You realize it's in bad shape because it's been taken over by the Corporation Commission and run by the Corporation Commission. They've taken it over. They've furnished the manager. They put in for a 35% rate increase. Why? Because the infrastructure's bad. Because it hadn't been maintained. It has problems. And it needs to be brought by this imported manager who does this stuff for a living to make it up to speed so maybe it will be sustainable. And then maybe, and this would be my very personal recommendation, that it should be incorporated with the city of Nogales Water Company. But you should not buy a water company that's a basket case. That's not working. And you should wait but there's a lot of people upset at the 35% rate increase. Well, you don't get better unless you pay money. And the money has to be spent and should be spent by those, and I hate to push the rate increases, but this is one time I think the rate increase is justified before it makes it sustainable and you might want to consider buying it. Because we have way too many water companies in this state, 440. They have rate cases all the time up there. They spend all their time on these 30, 50, 100 person water companies. And it's just a waste of time. So I wanted to just bring that up. Those are the points I wanted to bring up. Probably spent on 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
That's all right. Thank you very much. Thank you. I live in the Valle Verde district. I'm the one that's gonna pay 35%. It was 115 last time. Oh, boy. Item number 5, Mayor and Council report on current events. I'll start with myself. On November 2nd, they had the Winterfest event at Walgreens and the school area there. Very first annual. It was very slow, but it's the beginning. They should do better next year. On November 8th, I interviewed with Lourdes Academy journalism students. That was a very good opportunity for the students, and it was good for me too. On November 11th, I was part of the Veterans Day ceremony at the Wall, and I want to thank the VFW and the American Legion for giving me the opportunity to speak there. November 19th, I was part of the Charles Mingus planning meeting, which is part of the discussion was in reference to the monument and the planned sitting area at the corner of Western Avenue and I believe it's Bay Street or Bejarano, one or two. And so we're probably going to have something on the agenda just for information members of the City Council in January stemming from that meeting. And also had that same day I was invited by the police department to attend a canine training demonstration at Lincoln School. I was very impressed with all the officers that came from throughout the state, and I want to thank the police department and the great job that they're doing, building these partnerships and training our law enforcement and our canine units for their tasks in hand that they have to do, especially in this area along the border. November 20th, I attended an autism support meeting. I had an opportunity to speak on that. That is a topic that is, you're probably going to hear about this a lot in the coming years. There's more need to autism than anything now. It's unbelievable. I learned a lot in that meeting, even though I was a speaker. November 26th, the Thanksgiving dinner drive. I want to thank the police chief. I want to thank Mr. Dilly. I want to thank Mr. Hanesian, Mr. Acosta for helping me out with some of the elderlies that you support. Esther, I want to thank you very much. I want to thank all the officers that participated in that day. And I want to say that we managed to help 200 families this year. And I want to thank all the members of the community, all the businesses, and all the people that were very generous and helped out in the contribution for this drive. We did very well this year, and we helped also the Crossroads Mission, and so it was great. This year's Thanksgiving drive was very good. And November 27th, I was invited to have lunch, the Thanksgiving dinner luncheon at the Santa Cruz Council on Aging. So it was a great event too, and I was so happy to see all those friends of mine there at the Council on Aging. Next year I'll be 62. I'll be part of it. And, that's a joke, people. Come on. There's no humor whatsoever. You guys act like you're gonna get a raise or something like that. And that's it. That's for me. Councilman?
I was actually pretty much idle the month of November. I did go to the Mexican consulate, their exhibition of the Catrinas, and I went to the Veterans Day Parade, but other than that, I was resting.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
I attended the Pearson Vocational School Assembly for IMEBECA's students. I was also invited by people from Mexico City for a new program called Asume Arizona. Asume is a civil association founded in Mexico in 1980 in an effort to improve social development in communities. Asume created a program of human development for adults and young citizens that wish to improve themselves on self, family, and social levels. It has expanded to 9 Latin American countries. Nogales will be the first to start this program in Arizona, and I have invited several of the leaders here in the community to be part of this program, which I think it is very, very good for our community, for our people in the community. And I'll be letting you know, I mean, what's going on next. We'll have our first meeting January the 9th. And then we're having the Nativity Exposition at the Consulado Mexicano, December the 13th at 6 p.m. and it's going to be through the 16th. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman?
Well, I guess from the two good events that we had this past month, Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, well, Veterans Day festivities, I guess a few of us participated in it. It was a great day. A lot of people again that turned out. It's good to see that unity in the community and the support the community gave us. Actually, on November 22nd, I attended the PIMA Association of Government meeting with Councilman Cesar Parada and Assistant City Manager John Kissinger at the Tucson Community Center. They spoke on the expansion and development of the Port of Guaymas. They also spoke on Nogales being the international crossing for the railroad trucking industry and trucking industry. The question and answers, my question was about the safety issues on hazardous materials going through our community or other smaller communities. And, well, they kind of said that they've been improving the tankers and whatnot, but I think we need to explore that area a little deeper, maybe with our hazmat team here locally, and making sure that everything's going to be up to par when they start crossing more of their cars through here. Something to look into. But it was overall positive and informative session, and it kind of gave us a nice look at what the future holds, and it's positive. So I also attended the 27th Senior Citizen Thanksgiving luncheon they had there for the senior citizens with a few of the other members of the council in it, and it was nice, heartwarming, and good fellowship with everyone there. It was pretty packed. So all the people that there we all had a great Thanksgiving dinner and had a good time at it. So I want to thank all the people that helped make that possible, especially Mr. Catahura, that was a great host for all of us. And on the 28th, Thanksgiving Day, I want to thank the police union for inviting me to participate with them on their Thanksgiving turkey drive. And I guess there was like about 65 families or so that we gave turkeys to. But you know, I think that special day of Thanksgiving, what I could see from the people in your eyes, some of the people that I helped deliver, not only the turkeys, but also there was the full meal for the day and a few extras. But you see the joy in their eyes, and you also see that a lot of people are feeling more like they're part of the community when you go out and serve it like that. So I want to thank the mayor for what he did, and everyone else that participated in bringing that hope and joy to the people, because I think that way they feel, you know, even times have been a little tough for a lot of families, but they don't feel left out. They don't feel by themselves. You know, and that's very important. I think that their hope and faith in humanity, and that's always there, because there's people that care about them. And I think that's very important that we continue to be that, you know, and help each other out in the community. And I think above all, we always ask for God's blessings. I think when we do that, the blessings come naturally from Him. So I thank everybody for participating in that. I guess the only other thing I did was after Thanksgiving, the 29th, I was using the restrooms there at the downtown Karen Park, and I noticed it needed some attention, you know, and I noticed they had run out of toilet paper in one of the bathrooms, and I asked the lady there if I found out that she was one. Apparently, I guess they didn't take into account the long weekend and also the influx of people that came over to shop, which was great to see all those people downtown. I mean, it was really packed that day. So instead of putting the burden on the city, because I knew everybody was off that weekend, I decided to go and just buy, she said with a 30-pack, probably should carry her to the weekend. So I took in the 30-pack of toilet paper, saved probably a little overtime for the city, so they didn't have to address the issue. But it seemed like that's the only thing that was going on, and maybe a few other little things that I mentioned already to our Mr. Dilly, and so hopefully they'll get taken care of. But that's pretty much what I was involved in this month.
Thank you, Mr. Corral.
All about the above, except that I didn't go to that restroom, check it out. Everything else,
You went to use the paper?
all of us, the above was right. And the other thing we missed out is, Joel and I went out to, with the Board of Supervisors, with a junior from high school that's got a project for the veterans, making another wall for veterans. That's for all veterans that serve in Santa Cruz County, in peacetime and wartime, because our plaque that we have here is just for the wartime veterans. And once he's building is for everybody, the uniform on. So we met with Mr. Molera, and we had a good conversation showing the plan. He was very interested. He must find us a good location for it.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Corral. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of, some I went to, some I didn't. The only one that really stands out in my mind is the mayor's Thanksgiving drive and the amount of turkeys that were given out. And, I was there to deliver them, and it was a very special kind of occasion for everybody who was there. And basically, that's it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for a great Veterans Day. I also went to the Senior Center for Thanksgiving dinner. It was very good, everybody was very happy. I also, yesterday, BFW Post 2066, we gave out our Patriots Pin and Voice of Democracy Award. So we handed out $1,200 in checks for the kids that won the assays, so for their scholarship. So we gave them a check there. And that was real nice. It motivates the kids to learn more, to study more, and to be more patriotic. Is what those programs are done for. And it was great. It was very nice. Also, BFW Post 2066 is doing the Officer of the Year, and we're doing the EMT of the Year and the Fireman of the Year. I already have the paperwork from our chiefs, both chiefs. So we'll be doing something here local, and we're gonna give, we're sending everything to district. Hopefully our guys will win up there. They'll go to state, and we'll see what happens.
Good.
So that's what we're up to.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
May I take one more moment? I have Sierra forgot the PS here. It's just that I wanted to thank, special thanks to the PD department, and especially Officer Diaz. I guess Councilman Farah and I were out there in Monte Carlo last month, at the start of the month there. And we noticed that they had a problem. Actually, it was in October they had the problem. And Mr. Diaz was in the area, and we told him about the situation down in Baffert, at the end of Baffert Drive, where you have the housing back there. Right there on that curve, the residents were really concerned because sometimes they've had accidents there, and especially the people that lived on the corner. They were even thinking about selling the house because sometimes they take that turn so wide that there was a time when one of the cars ended up in their front yard, almost going through the house. So when Officer Gladillo was in the area, I brought it to his attention and said that the PD was going to look into it. I didn't have to say anything else. They did a wonderful job over there. The people, I didn't even realize they had finished doing it so quick, and people called us, and we went up there, and sure enough, they've done a real professional job on those speed bumps that they put, and other improvements that they did to the area, so people wouldn't race through that corner, and the residents were really happy, and I just want to thank the PD for their fine work in bringing safety to that neighborhood.
They put another speed bump?
I guess you're probably aware of it.
Not the PD, but the PD was there to help Public Works.
Okay, there you go.
Another one, Chief?
Yes.
Jesus Christ, we're spending asphalt and speed bumps instead of potholes? Okay, no, that's good. No, but speed bumps are good, but I mean, We've already, I think we have several thousand in the city of Nogales.
They did an excellent job. It's not like the other speed bumps throughout the city. They really brought, they really solved the problem.
Let's speak on. Thank you very much, Councilman. All right, presentation, number 6, number 1, update, Palo Duro Golf Course, Mr. Dilly, Councilman Parada, identify this.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Councilman Parada, this had requested this item be put forward on the agenda, looking for an update from the from staff on the Palo Duro question mark issue or what have you. John, would you please update the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, go ahead. Mr. Mayor, last month I had the opportunity to meet with 2 potential investors who wanted to look at Palo Duro to see if they would, they could make it work. We showed them the property, and they looked at it and they came back to me and said it's too much for the amount of investment money that they have. So they're kind of off the table on that. Additionally, we're still doing as much fairway mowing as possible. So a bit of good news, there's a maquiladora, is it maquiladora? A maquiladora industry in Nogales, Sonora that build and make like weed eaters and trimmers and stuff like that. So they have asked the city to allow them to participate so they can test out their weed cutting ability. So they will be doing free of charge, no charge to the city of Nogales, some weed abatement and cutting down out there at the Palo Duro. And they've already started and it looks pretty good if you haven't been out there lately. Additionally, a couple of months ago, or last month, I believe last month, the police department was called out, but there was some damage done again to the building. Some windows broken. It cost us approximately $500 to repair and to board up some of the windows that were broken again by the juveniles out there in Palo Duro. I included in your packet just a quick summary of a potential partnership or some with a professional golf company that can come in, just so it can be fresh in your mind, kind of what the estimates would be to run a 9-hole or an 18-hole golf course and what the estimated cost would be on that. And I also included in your packet a news release on what the city of Tucson just did. They went out for all of their 5 golf courses, and I believe it was 5, and contracted with a professional golf company to come in and run their golf courses for them. So, and the article talks about their deal on what type of terms they have on their contract. They put together a committee, citizens committee, and I believe some council members were on that committee, and interviewed several golf course management firms and selected the one they thought was the best fit for the city. And now they're in the process of doing the negotiations on the fine tuning of the contract. Currently, we're on a holding pattern. I think our goal right now is to try to get through this budget and through some of the issues that we have pending in front of us before we bring forward some type of plan of action on what to do with the golf course. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Parada?
Yeah, John?
Sure.
This company here is already, Tucson received about 15 different bids, right? We have to put up the bids. And this company is one of them. We gave them the information this year that you gave us.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm unaware of, I haven't had the time to reach out to Tucson to see which companies had they interviewed. I don't know if this company is one of them or not. It could be. But we haven't gone out and searched for a company. We just called this guy in to give us a ballpark to see where we're at. If the mayor and council or Mr. Dilly, or directs me to go out and put out for bid, a golf management company to come in and present bids to us, or if you would like to form a committee, or you would like us to look for RFPs, all those are possibilities, and staff, like always, is ready to take care of business.
Well, they got about 14
Different companies? No, I'm assuming they would.
Yeah.
Now remember, there's 5 golf courses.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Kissinger, at one time we discussed the idea of talking to the neighbors there in Middle Hills to see if they were interested in legitimately coming up with a country club and becoming members or doing an improvement district. Has that gone anywhere, or have we sent out a questionnaire or anything at all to see if anybody's interested in that or not?
Beautiful. Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, we have not reached out to or had any citizens, meetings with the citizens out there. One of the reasons why is we didn't want to go in front of the citizens and talk to them about an improvement district without knowing roughly how we're going to get there. I'll give you a perfect example. On Via San Simon, we have a contract with an engineering company that's going to bring us to 30% on what it's going to cost. Okay? We don't have that with Paloluro. We don't know. With San Simon, we know exactly what we want. We're going to put in sewer, water, and streets. So we can calculate what that cost is going to be, so we can go and intelligently speak to the people at San Simon and say, this is what we're offering you to do an improvement district. The problem with Middle Hills is we're not real sure where we're going. So we can go and just open this up and just say, what do you think is the best use for the land? Do you think a golf course is what you need? You know, so it would be difficult for staff. It's just like opening it wide open. So we're basically would like to get some directions on which way we're going to proceed, whether we proceed with the golf course, whether we're going to proceed with an improvement district. If that's the way the mayor and council decide that's where we're going to go, then we'll put into place a plan for doing an improvement district. We're doing one now. Shouldn't be that hard. I can pull one together quickly if that's mayor and council desires.
Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
John, the general idea was to communicate with the people first, have an idea of what they could do, what ideas they had in mind. You know, because before we come up with a second phase, saying, well, this is one of our ideas, improvement district and so forth. The idea was to get the feeling of the people, see what ideas they could come up with a neighborhood organization to put in some money for it, whatever ideas they had. But I mean, that was only for us to get a general idea of what they can expect. And then we'll do that in phase 2, but the phase 1 is to get the feelings. See what ideas do they have, what can they offer. That was the idea.
Yeah. Mr. Jennings, you were going to say something?
No, that's fine.
You're fine. So, Mr. Parada, is that the direction? Is that what you want to do?
Right.
See what the residents in the
right,
area?
phase 1, get going with the
So,
residents.
I recommend that we do this. So then, why don't we have staff and see have some of the staff people either in planning and zoning, recreation, or whatever. You guys get together and see, get some feel for it from some of the residents. You know, I've talked to some, and they're not interested in putting in money.
I've talked
Not
to
one penny.
Mr. Mayor, I've talked to many. I live there, and so I talk to my neighbors and stuff, and most of them that I've heard from at least are saying, hey, the city, you did it once, just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
right? However, if it's your direction that you want us to hold a community forum meeting out there, we've done one before on recycling.
Yeah.
We could do one again. I can tell you on recycling, we had about six or seven participation. One of them was our city employee. But
That's what you're gonna get on this
yeah,
one.
but I mean, we're more than willing to do that. If that's the pleasure of this mayor and council, we will take care of it right away.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to manage expectations. This type of discussion isn't going to be a real detailed discussion on a special improvement district. This is going to be more of a brainstorm on
Right.
what are your thoughts, what are your ideas, and we can collect all those ideas, and whatever we get, we can bring them back to council by way of input that we got from the residents.
I recommend you do that,
Sure.
just so that we can get a feel for it, kind of like what Mr. Parada says, and then that'll be another step, and then we'll see where we can get started the year.
Yes, sir.
We'll look at that, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Mayor.
Kissinger. Number 2, update on abatement of buildings, Vice Mayor. This is, I think, Mr. Machado is the one that can answer this. No?
Not me.
No, okay. Who can answer this?
Oh, maybe that's why Mr. Tapia is no longer here.
Why don't we have the original question, and then we'll see what we can do to answer.
The original question was, I think we were gonna send out some letters and send, I think, the inspector, whoever it is, Mr. Armada or whoever it was, to go ahead and look at the different properties. From my understanding was last time there was 10 properties that were pinpointed, and that's what they went to look at. And I think we got a reaction out of 3 or 4 of them. I did see the one there on next to the post office that they went ahead and fenced it off. They went ahead and get it. I saw some houses there now on Noon Street that they had the windows boarded also, and they put the houses up for sale. One of the houses there, and I think I showed you the letter, I asked the lady there, and they want 178,000, they're down now to 45,000, right? So I mean, we did get a reaction out of sending 10 letters. So my request was to send out the other 100 that we need to send out. Maybe if we can clean, if these people can go ahead, we did get a reaction again there on Ellis Street from one of the people there, and they cleaned up, or the city cleaned it up and arranged some deal with them. My question is, were any more letters sent out, or was anybody else visited?
Mr. Barcenas, in the absence of Mr. Tapia, can you field this question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Rosen.
Yes, I think in your package you have a list of the properties that we have identified, that some of those are the ones that you brought to our attention, and some of the ones that we saw ourselves and or somebody complaining or something like that. And in the list that you have there, I think we have, I think at least 10 that we have some action going on. There are 4 or 5 that we haven't been able to identify the proper ownership, or there. I think there's a couple there in the bank. The bank is the owner of the property. We continue to work on this list. I'm not really up to speed on all these issues, but we're gonna have to get up to speed really quick now that Mr. Tapia is gone. So I could update that and send you a memo updating with all the information that I can collect and give you the better.
Mr. Brennan, was that 2-story building there on Nelson Avenue? We had some reaction on it from the letter that was sent out, and the reaction was, we don't have any money to do anything about it. Was that dropped? Was that accepted as the legit answer, or what?
That's the 90 North Nelson?
Right, 90 North Nelson.
Okay, Mrs.
Next to Jen.
Enrique Valderrama, owner,
Yeah.
notified on December 2012, inspected November 2012, sent out a notice. I'm assuming this again because I've known they have sent quite a few notices. On May 30th, 2013, no final inspection date has been done. Let me see here. And June 10th is when their response time was due, and the owner responded that they intend to comply with the city requirements. Building is secured in the meantime.
So they
boarded it up.
They boarded that up.
Speak English now? Now that they're all right, can we get it in English? There was nothing was said there.
Well, that's what the report says.
Well, what it is that we contacted the owner, the property. We gave them the time frame that we allow in the code. And the response was that he was gonna secure the property to make sure that no danger was gonna.
When was this letter, when was that?
June 10, I believe is what it says there. Yeah.
I think it's in English.
It is in English?
I think so, Mr.
Yeah, in English?
Let me see, I'll double check, yep.
June 10th and 13th. Then there was, I guess, December 12th, there were several there.
The notice date was,
Did anybody go back and take a look at that building?
May
I don't see
13th.
anything being secured in the building. I still see the sides falling down. I don't see anything being secured.
Well, I think we have some pictures that I don't have those with me right now, but what we have been doing in all this list, we have documentation of what has been going on. Pictures when there's cleanup that needs to be done, we go and document that. So, let me search a little bit more this and I can send you the complete information.
I thought this was gonna be four, but anyway, has there been anybody that is actually outside of the lot there on Ellis Street that is actually cleaned up? And like I said, I've seen some on Moon Street that have been boarded and others. I haven't seen anything over by, off Perkins over here where there's a lot of them that have been abandoned, and I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen anybody cleaning the actual lots.
Some of those may be the ones that we have been able to identify who the owner is, because I know at least there are a couple that they're under, the banks, that the banks took over the property.
Mhm.
So that's what we were having some problems, had to notify the owner that, because it wasn't.
But you said the owner's a bank, the bank is
Well,
taking over?
it's the bank kind of repossessed the property, whatever it was, but they don't have title to the property, so they are holding that. I don't know legally what that is, but that.
But to answer your question, Mr. Hanesian, on the list that was provided to us by Mr. Tapia, there's only one resident that looks like it's in the area of Perkins Street, but it's at 180 East Lincoln Street. I don't know if that's the property that you're referring to. It's owned by Mr. Ruben Morales. And you can see the dates there when the notifications were sent, but they haven't done a final inspection on it because the owner has not responded. So I guess they sent him out a final notice to get it done, or there will be some sanctions. We will gladly put that final notice in your box, probably tomorrow. We can get that to you, to let you know what the final notice is.
So basically, you have sent notices to almost everybody. So, you have, some have responded and some haven't, but they're aware that we're on top of it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Machado?
Mr. Machado?
I mean, what would basically follow? I mean, if we're writing the letters and saying, you know, you have a deadline in which to either clean up the building or tear it down or do something with it, I mean, what would be what would basically follow?
A court action. Once we're not getting any type of response, then the next step is enforcement through the court. And along with that, it'll require us to do certain things to the property. So it's really just a matter of how much money you want to put into each piece of property in terms of what has to be done there and court costs.
I think we allocated $50,000 for it. Has any of that money been used?
Yes.
Not through legal proceedings, I don't know if it's been.
Yeah, the
used.
money, some of that money was used for the demolition of some houses here on Potrero and back, the houses that got burned and was removed. One, I think you got a briefing from Mr. Tapia
Right.
meetings ago, that the second house that was there, we discovered that has asbestos, and to remove that was gonna be really expensive. The property is not worth the money that, so we put a lien on the property. It's just, the money's gonna be there, because we're not gonna recover that money. The property probably was, I don't remember exactly the number, but I thought it was less than $15,000. So we needed to put like $35,000 to remove the asbestos and demolish that. So that's an issue, and I think Mr. Machado is just making reference that how much money you're willing to put into these problems, because we cannot recover that money. It's just sinking money there.
Well, but somewhere along the line, we're gonna have to make a decision whether we wanna have blighted areas in Nogales. Do we wanna, you know, bring back Detroit to Nogales, or would we wanna have that kind of an image? If we're trying to clean up the image, we're gonna have to do something.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I think to the point, maybe instead of staff being in this difficult position of not knowing exactly what to do, realizing that the investment to correct the problem is far more than the property is worth, maybe we just need to bring an action item back in front of council, and if they want to move in that direction, then we go. So we can do that in January and put an action item in front of you if you guys want to spend you know, that money and just put a lien on the property and know that we might not ever collect it, then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we gotta clean up the town some way. I mean, is there any state money, for abatement? You're always hearing about it. How about, is there any federal money?
I was under the grants for brownfields, and I don't know if they still exist. Do they still exist, Mr.
Yes,
Vice
yes,
Mayor?
there's something about brownfields, but they are really specific for some specific issues like contamination and old.
But I mean, on reference to asbestos, would it fall under the brownfields?
I don't think it's specific for one property.
Can you
It's
look
a-
at,
it's
can
an
you look at
area
that, Alejandro?
Yes.
Can you look at that? Can you look into that?
Sure, I could.
Because I think that number you have on 35,000 for asbestos removal, that's a real low number. It's probably gonna be a lot higher than that, Mr. Russell.
Well, how much asbestos is there? I mean, the whole place, one big asbestos?
Probably all the floors and the roof coverings and all
No,
that.
The insulation. was part of
Insulation.
that, I don't know exactly what it is.
Which is this, the two-story building?
Yes.
Majority of the vinyl floors that were installed in the early 70s and 60s were all asbestos. The vinyls. And asbestos removal, those companies, oh, Jesus Christ.
They know they got you.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yes,
So-
yes, they very seldom show up for less than $100,000. Especially if it's already been mixed into with the fire and everything. It's probably a little bit, if you have somebody professionally go look at it, he's probably gonna identify it differently than a $35,000 cost. It's gonna be a lot more. That's why the property owner probably was not gonna even,
Now, there
but
was-
we do need to do something.
There's an asbestos fund with the federal government. Does anybody know what that encompasses?
I know the brownfields are still out there, but I don't know how hard it is to get those monies.
redevelopment.
Should we move to the next item? Mr. Havasian?
Well, Cesar and Eric are gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Make sure you guys talk to your accountants about this. You can do it now, but don't do it during tax season. Item number 3, update on the Unisource franchise agreement. Councilman Doyle wanted to find out where we were at on this. I guess this is yours, Mr. Dilly.
The franchise agreement?
Yes, I'm gonna excuse myself for a tad. Vice Mayor, don't take this past that item.
All right. We'll be here all night.
I'll talk slow.
Got 2 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, no, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council, I haven't heard back from Unisource, based off of the last meeting that we've had with them. We met in the conference room. I believe we've already made a reporting of that. The last word from them was that they were gonna go back and they were going to talk about, whether or not they could come up with any possible solutions to getting them closer to satisfying their obligations under the current franchise agreement. I heard rumors that they were working on something, but I have to admit to the council that my office has not received any outreach from Unisource on an effort to try to mitigate the situation with the city. If you've heard anything different.
No, that's about it. I personally think that nothing's gonna happen until we get it off the agenda. So what I would suggest is that the council consider putting it on as an action item at one of our next meetings for direction, for staff direction, maybe to file something with the Corporation Commission, or take the next step. And if they're serious about reaching a solution before then they can do it before then. But at this point, they're not interested in moving real quick on this. That's my take on it.
Well, Mr. Machado, can we send out a letter from either Mr. Dilly's office or your office, giving them, some kind of a 30-day deadline or 60 days or whatever it would take for them to respond? If not, we'll take it to the Arizona Corporation Commission. Because I think most people are interested in something happening.
Well, I think we can do that. I think we can notify them that the council has directed us to to either come up with something, or it's gonna be on the agenda for next time for council action, or ACC report or something.
I think that's basically what we're looking at. Mr. Doyle?
That's the thing, that I just wanna make sure that they don't try to keep us at bay, letting time go by and thinking that, you know, we're not gonna follow through. I think if, like Mr. Scott said, if we send them a letter, they'll know that we're gonna be insistent about it, and hopefully they'll do the right thing.
Okey-doke.
We passed it?
Okay.
Good job, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I had a conversation with Roberto. Roberto indicated to me that Larry Lucero was working on a written proposal for the city's consideration, and that we should be expecting it shortly. That's what he told me over the phone.
When was this?
When was this?
A month ago.
Not a month, I think it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and I specifically told him in preparation for the December meeting, because I knew it was on here. So as soon as I knew that item was going to be on here, when did we know this? Last meeting, right?
We went last meeting.
Yeah, right after the last meeting, I called Roberto, so maybe it's been a month.
Maybe it's been 2 weeks at least.
Just give you an update.
Okay. Discussion items. Consideration possible action, discussion item to accept the proposal to construct a booster pump station. Public Works put this one up. This is in reference to a pump station from the area from the hospital, around the lake, to pump up water for fire flow to the area where the border is at and the industrial park and the trade zone over there. This is actually a good idea for two reasons. One, to give them the fire flow, because as what I can understand, I believe we only have like 1,200 gallons per minute right now there in all the area. And also, this will give them past that, but not only that, it'll be a benefit to us when we decide to work together with the three developers up there, the Bars, the Garcias, Conosopolos, and all those people, when they decide to for the growth for the new tank. And at that time, then a booster pump is going to be needed to get up there. So this is, I think it's a good idea for us to do that right now. And maybe we can increase the flow and maybe get some of those warehouses developed right now before we can get that done. But I'll tell you right now, probably sometime in the end of next year, we'll be discussing a tank.
So moved.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have an amount?
Yeah. John or Alejandro, we have a couple of
There's two
proposals,
quotes.
right?
There's two quotes. We gave you this in the memo form, and you should have a memo. It's in your box, Mr. Anderson. Did you get that memo?
When did you put the memo in?
Oh, about 2 days ago.
No, I haven't been here in 2 days.
We know better.
You didn't notify me by,
I did. I sent you an
I
email.
thought you were gonna be notifying us through
Yeah. Anyway, so I believe the lowest responsible bidder was
Best Way Electric,
Best Way Electric for amount of
74,000.
74.
the 74,000.
And that's what staff is recommending that you, Mr. Vice Mayor, approve.
Okay, we have yes, we have two motions on the floor.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Number two, discussion possible action rescheduling regular council meeting of January 1st, 2014 to January the 8th, 2014.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. See, they should have all been like that in consent agenda, the whole packet. You should have read it at home, and then we show up in consent agenda, and we're gonna get home by Christmas. Now we're barely gonna make it for New Year's. Okay, here comes a good one, guys. Oh, wait a minute, I missed the page. Oh my God. What happened to you, Steve?
We already did that one.
Vice Mayor covered that while you were gone.
Oh, he covered that one? Did you do that one already, Vice Mayor?
Which is that one?
Number 3.
Yes,
You
we
jumped to
did.
number 3? Okay,
Yeah.
so, okay, we're done then. Let me
Yeah.
adjourn this meeting. Okay, item number 3, consideration possible action and discussion item 13-15 to approve salary adjustment for city employees. Okay, well, we had plenty of discussion on this during the study session, and there's basically, you know, an agreement, but there's still a little debate in reference to the page that I sent you. So I need you to make a decision right now. Option number 1 is the one I recommended, or I'm making a motion on option number 1, which is the salary increase. The only thing on the salary increase that Mr. Dilly mentioned one thing about the second week, or the second week of January, second pay period, and then making it retroactive. You know, I think we could, you know, the retroactive part I understand, and second week I understand more than the retroactive. You know, I think if we make it the second week so that the employees can have an opportunity to do it, and since they're already receiving their $500, you know, I think we could eliminate the retroactive. Could you, do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if you.
Yeah, if I may,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor, just with the similar motion was passed in 2007, staff was allowed 2 months' time to get all of the paperwork and everything taken care of. I don't think we need quite that much time. But given the holidays, lots of staff will be out, and it'll be difficult to get all the paperwork done. And so from the finance department together with the HR department, who will be carrying the load of this, our recommendation would be to have the pay raise effective the second pay period of January.
Yes.
That way, when we get back from the holidays, it gives us plenty of time to get all the paperwork done in order so that everything sails smoothly with the second pay period of January.
And I'll say, Council, with that, I think that gives them an opportunity to do their work, and I know they're gonna be pushing it, and it's not, I don't think it's fair. You know, the decision that we're making right now, it's kind of tough already mid-year, and then pushing the holidays on staff, and everybody's shorthanded right now, especially in those 2 departments that are gonna be working on this, so.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Except,
Okay.
No, go ahead, Joe.
just in terms of getting our record straight here, there's no, the general motion is to give I guess option 1, to give the pay raise, but you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. And that's why the order that you prepared there,
Yes.
it would be, if you're gonna go along with that order, if we could get a number from Ms. Robinson and then
Okay.
vote on that order.
On the order.
Right. With that change that you wanted it to be effective on the
Okay.
on the
All
second
right.
pay period.
So,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead. Is there a number?
there is a number, 2013-12,
Maybe put this one.
2013-12-101.
1, 2, 1, 2.
I guess, but I wanted to make sure you guys had some discussion at your study session about that subsection B under A1.
Yes.
Right, so, you know, it'd be important to probably indicate your preference in the motion on whether that stays
Yes,
or goes.
that's where I was going.
And then the other, you're referencing options, option 1, are you referencing the presentation that I put together? You
Yeah,
had the
option
option 1,
one.
option 2, okay, thank you, I just wanted to have some.
Yeah, I was referencing the option you had on the, even though there's an order here, we worked on.
The order, voting on the order will take care of the option.
Yes.
If you approve this order, it is going with option 1.
Yes.
Okay.
But actually, the last B, does it fall in the same order?
Yes.
It does? Okay, so basically both Bs will be there. Okay, I want, before we proceed with this and make a complete motion, I need to feel the concept, the discussion on B. Let's be honest, let's be fair, how you feel. It's probably gonna, on the public safety employees, it's probably gonna affect only about eight employees are gonna be affected actually, because the 10%, the original 10% is taking the majority up to the middle in the public safety arena. So basically about 8 employees will be going to that. So the cost isn't that much, really, for 8 employees to getting them to that, getting them to the midpoint with the 10%.
Mr. Mayor, have these employees, I mean, have they all been on the payroll the same amount of time? I mean, I don't understand, usually somebody who's been with the city more is expected to be a little further on in the.
Yes, I understand.
I don't know how to.
I don't know, but probably in the fire department, when was the last time, how many, fire chief, will you please, could you, I just need to ask you one question. Just your recollection, your employees that are firefighters and EMTs, which one, or don't name the name, just tell me how many have been there for less than 5 years?
We have about 8 of them.
They've been there for less than 5 years? Yes. Okay, and everybody else is above?
That's correct.
Above 5 years?
That's correct. Yeah, we have, actually we have 2 employees that have been there for less than a year.
A year.
Less than a year. And then we have.
See, that's where we fall into that problem, the midpoint problem. See, if they've been there for less than a year, then they shouldn't be boosted up to the midpoint. They should get the 10% if they're underneath the 35,000. And Mr. Dilly brought up a valid point. See, you get to the midpoint according to a comparison compensation study because of your time and grade, which we talked about up here, members of the council. And then you have 2 that have been below a year. And then?
That's correct. And then we have between probably 4 and 5 that are within the 5-year range.
Within the 5-year range. Yes. Honestly, I don't think any of them qualify to the midpoint. Not even the 5. My feelings. My feelings. Because I mean, to get to the midpoint, you should be there at least more than 5 years. I don't know. That I'm not a specialist in in studies, but I think I'm looking at employees that've been there 8-10 years that haven't gotten a chance to get to that point.
Yes, we have some of those.
Yeah, but those will get to the midpoint with the 10%.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would, to do those types of corrections in the organization, I think that's where you would really like to lean on your compensation study.
Yes.
Because you know that it's going to be, it's going to be evaluated, it's going to be weighed against benchmarks and what have you.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Jolie. I think let's stick to the order, and I recommend we scratch B.
Okay.
Because we're not gonna have anybody within that. So the motion will be, thank you, Chief.
One other question.
Yes.
Up on top it says effective January 1st.
Yes.
With the effective second pay period of
Okay.
2000.
Commencing second pay period of January for 2000. Okay, second pay period.
B is gone?
B is struck out under A1,
The first
Yes,
Yeah,
B
the
is
first
struck
one.
out.
at least under this motion.
That's this motion. So Mr. Parada had made a motion.
Second.
And you second it, and remember, the motion is on option 1,
Right.
okay? But with the order 2013-12-101. Okay? Right, and I think we've had enough discussion. Yeah, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I want to specifically state, I'm not against the salary increase. I'm just against completely the way it's presented. First, at least we were never presented, and I understand Mr. Dilly's explanation there, that really, the money has to come out of the general fund. And, you know, I understand if we should have this discussion always during the budget hearing. That's when this discussion should be had, not in December, when there's a lot of different pressures and everything is on trying to get everybody to be, you know, happy or whatever. But I'm not against the salary increases. I think if we could figure out some way that it would be, that it would come out of the reserve amount. We've had different discussions about different things that we want to do for this upcoming year. And we were going to be using money from the reserve account for different items that we're going to be doing. Now it seems that a third, or at least a third of that money is going to be basically designated for this, because if things don't turn around, either way, we're going to be needing some of the money from the reserve account. So in my mind, I don't know, I really don't want to vote no on it, because I'm not against the salary increases. I just don't want to get in a situation, and I've said this from the very beginning, and I told everybody, I was not elected here to go ahead and fire anybody or lay off anybody. And we have not done it as long as I've been here. We've never laid anybody off. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't want to be in the same situation that all these different cities are in, where they try to do what's best for everybody, and it turns out to be a negative situation. So basically, I just want to know that I'm going to be abstaining from voting on it, and for the reason is that I can't find a stream of money to go ahead and do the salary increases as they're presented, as presented.
All right. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Let me point out, Mr. Mayor, that if you abstain and the majority goes with it, then your vote is counted as a yes vote. I'm serious, so if you really want to put a no vote on the table.
It kind of sounds like Washington DC, doesn't it?
Okay, so let's, yes.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, I want to make sure. So we have in the order proposed A, 1, and B will be under that 1. B will be scratched.
Yes.
C will become B.
Yes.
D will become C. And E will
Yes.
become D.
Yes.
And then the second portion B is part of the motion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll prepare a final version once we.
Right, okay.
Yes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. Okay, we have, under orders, we have consideration of possible action of liquor license 2013-7. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah, opposed, the ayes have it. Consideration of possible action number 2. You were looking at me. Number 2, consideration possible action of order 2013-12-097.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Discussion? None, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. Number 3, consideration possible action of order 2013-12-098.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 4, consideration possible action of order 2013-12-099.
if I may, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd like to table this motion, and let me explain to the council what it is. This is an access road that goes up to the Crawford Hill tank, the acquisition of this road or clarifying title to this road will allow us to access money that was left over in escrow because we didn't have clear title to that tank. We've had $100,000 sitting there for about 4 or 5 years, and this will allow us to access that money. I don't have all the deeds signed yet, but we're just missing one deed, but we have signatures from all the other property owners, but I'd rather bring it to the council in its final form, but that's what it is.
Mr. Machado, how are we getting up there now? Just
Well,
by using the property without permission, or?
yes. There's an existing road there that we're now going to legalize. And if you recall, a couple of years ago, when we started, when we had the computer program up in our office, we started putting everything, a calendaring system in place and a tracking system, I started going over each individual file so as to get it into the system, and I came across this file. And the more I looked into it, I came to realize we had $100,000 sitting there. So that's why we started the process.
After all these years, man, we need to go forever.
And without interest, we don't get interest on it, because it was our fault that it was there. Now will you vote for the raise?
You only saved you didn't even save the 100, you're giving it away. How can you gonna vote for it?
Not yet. We're gonna get it with interest now. So we're gonna table it.
Table it, please.
Okay, do I have a motion to table?
So,
And report? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 5, consideration possible action of order 2013-12-100.
So move your.
Thank you. Second.
Sounds good, huh?
Thank you. Discussion?
None.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. City manager's report, Mr. Billy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Just briefly, you all received a copy of this final product. It's already in the mail out to visitor centers across the state. Each of you will receive, if you haven't already, a sizable packet of them for your discretion in terms of who you give it to and how. There are a bunch more, so if you run short, don't hesitate to come in and let us know, and we'll get them out to you. There's also, we got a rack here in the lobby, and we've put them in that rack so that they're available to the public. It had a pretty busy month, but the only thing I really want to remind you of is that the employee holiday luncheon is scheduled for the 19th, beginning at 11 o'clock in the morning. I think it goes to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Mr. Vice Mayor, appreciate your participation on that committee. Anyway, so I think that's it unless there's any
Was
questions.
he part of the committee?
Self-appointed.
We have a
Thank you. Christmas parade Saturday. Very important. Very important.
Very important, yes.
Very important. Big deal.
Okay, future agenda items, anybody have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I would like Lieutenant to defend me on his comment.
This coming, the self-appointed one?
Yes.
We asked him if
You asked them?
Oh,
Mr. Tilly! Vice Mayor,
Thank you.
you've been honored, sir. This meeting's adjourned.